Alright everyone, I'm getting word that our Ghostland Yard run is ready, so without further ado and any more delays, let's throw it on over to Toronite for Ghostland Yard.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is Ghostland Yard. My name is Toronite. I'm very excited to go through this game. This game is very near and dear to my heart. Been one of my absolute favorite games to learn and run over the past year. Almost actually roughly exactly 1 year since I first learned this game. So I'm very excited. And who better to have my commentator than the one who actually got me into this game in the first place, D. Tara Stark.
Hi, it's me. I'm the Tara Stark. Wow. Hi, everybody. As a born and raised Pennsylvanian and just an absolute fan of the Keystone State, to see one of my favorite games here represented in a speedrun marathon for one of my favorite cities, and supporting a fabulous cause in that city, in the Paris of Appalachia. I'm just so happy to be here. Thank you for having me, and I'm real excited to hang out with y'all for a little bit.
Yeah, so we have as I understood it, we had a bid war to choose Poe's color. Poe is the character that we're going to play as, and the winner was yellow. And let me confirm to make sure I have yellow. Okay, yep, there we go. Very bright and yellow. I would say that's I think that's Pittsburgh Steelers yellow. I think people will agree to that. So we are going to start the run in a second. Thankfully we have a handy-dandy speedrun mode that this game. By the way, shoutouts to the developers of this game, Obelisk, who made an absolute phenomenal game. Just even introducing a whole speedrun mode where you can go through the entire game without going through like the story on the cutscene and everything. So we are basically ready to go. I want to make sure that I have all my settings right. Yep, include bosses, go through the whole game. And yeah, time is not when I hit start to run. It's on first movement. So I will actually give a proper countdown. So it'll be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Now, Toronite's been working very hard on this level. You're about to see a world record run. We're holding right. We're jumping. And there it is, GG on world record for World 1-1. Thankfully, that is not the whole game. That is level 1 out of 126 that you were going to see today. With an estimate of 30 minutes, that puts our average level at about 14 seconds. Of course, our bosses are much longer, so you're going to be seeing this game whip by at about a level every 10 seconds, often much less. Now, the mechanics of this game are fairly simple. You hold right, you hold left, you jump. But there are so many little nuances that you're going to see here. For example, wall jumps take you just a little bit higher, and that's how Toro just skipped a solid little running across the level back and forth several times. Save a little bit of time there in level 1-5. There's a corner jump here that is incredibly difficult, but really cool and satisfying to see when it is pulled off. And again, another skip where we've cut off about 2/3 of the level below us just by timing our jumps just right. There's a little bit of coyote time. Wall jumps will take you just a little bit higher, and depending on how long you hold that jump button, that can push you higher for longer. Once again, we're seeing that coyote time kick in, and Toro has masterfully jumped above the entire level. Jump modulation, timing is key. Once again, hitting a perfect world record time on level 111. We are already halfway through World 1, which introduces us to our basic mechanics and also a very basic concept. If it is pink, it will kill you. That is rocks, that is slime, those are the little goopy bullets that will be shot at you every once in a while. If it is pink, it will kill you. Great rule of thumb and a great introduction with a really moody atmosphere to start this game. There's not a whole lot of story to speak of. There are a couple of very short vignettes, and quite frankly, it winds up a little unclear. This game is just pure vibes and environment. The platforming, thankfully, is excellent. And so having a combination of those two just makes for a really fun and engaging game to come back to over and over. Thank you to the developers at Obelisk for the time and the love that you put into this. We're nearly finished World 1 already here. We do have our first boss to contend with. Again, the boss is pink, so the boss will kill you. We're seeing bullets come across, and we're also seeing levers that were yellow that then changed to green. Any boss, if you see something green, you touch it, it will kill the pink. And so what we're seeing is, again, some dodging. There's just a little hint of RNG, but there are ways you can go about making sure, manipulating where those levers are going to pull up. Toro's been doing an excellent job. Of course, looks like here we've got one more slam into the wall. You'll notice the walls became pink. They weren't when we started. We dodge those bullets, we hit that last lever, and that is the end of World 1. World 2, welcome to the castle. The place that will make you say, wow, bagpipes are cool after all. We now introduce moving objects, spinning balls and chains, and sliding balls and chains like table saws. Again, you're seeing some excellent platforming here, a lot of very minute changes in these dives that are helping Toro to dodge some of these platforms that might otherwise stop them in their journey. Poe is just absolutely zooming along. Toro, what were your impressions when you played this world for the first time?
It's funny. When I first played for this level, for this world, I should say, I'm like, oh, okay, things are moving. It's gonna be a lot more difficult, especially when you have like so many saws coming in at you at once. It really trips you up a lot. And also the music in this level. I've said it every single time I've been able to showcase this run, including the last time. Steel City Speedsters had an in-person event at PGX when I did this as a little bonus run. The music here is absolutely phenomenal. It's my favorite track in the entire game, and I'm so excited to be able to show this off again. And hopefully things with World 2, because this is where kind of the difficulty doesn't ramp up tremendously, but you can see a lot more obstacles to kind of go through.
Right, you start to see a couple more alternate paths emerge. You start to see more and more ways in which you could diverge up or down, and it's taken a while for some of our runners to find optimal routing. Sometimes it's not quite where you would expect it. The way this game has exploded, I think, in the last year and a half, world record went from, oh my goodness, I want to say it was a 26 or 27, all the way down to 20 minutes now. And it's just been absolutely fascinating watching new runners come in and grind individual levels and then figure out, okay, so the routing here wasn't quite where it should be. Watching runners with a lot more time start to optimize their full game runs, their one world runs, their any percent runs, and just keep on bringing times down further and further based on just little tiny pieces of work. Watching a game develop from publication to here has just been such a joy and a pleasure as a moderator of the boards, and I'm really glad I've gotten to see that here. I'm also really, really glad to know that we're doing this for the cause that we are. Do we have anything from our host?
Yeah, absolutely. We're getting a lot of love in Twitch chat for this run for both Toro and the game and Pennsylvania. There is a lot to be appreciative for, and a lot of cool things happening. We also have a donation here, $25 from Tara, that says, good luck, Toro. Much love to the Steel City Speedsters supporting this cause, and to all my other comrades in the Paris of Appalachia. Stay swift and keep up the good fight. Trans rights.
Trans rights.
Trans rights. Thank you for that donation, Tara. Hey, Tara, what'd you think about that donation from Tara?
I'll tell you, I think we need to do some repairs to this elevator. It doesn't seem to be working very well. Boss 2, absolute environmental masterpiece. Very, very fun boss chase. And knowing that the cycles on those roses at the very end of the level start at the beginning of the level, any little mistake that you do can change those cycles up in unpredictable ways, and Toro's done an excellent job of getting on through the end of the castle, crushing the monster beneath the ruins of the castle as they come crumbling down, and bringing us to World 3, the Temple, which introduces two new mechanics. The first that you're seeing now are moving platforms. Now, these can be helpful. They can be a hindrance. You've seen Toro move both faster and slower, having jumped off of some of these platforms here. Once again, trying to figure out the routing, what platforms are helpful, which are not, getting the timing just right to figure out, okay, how long should I stay on this platform? How quickly can I jump off of it? Just really, really challenging to kind of put together. We'll come to our second mechanic in this world when we get to it. Toro doing an excellent job picking battles and running all the way down through. There is a way to skip that first platform. It is extremely difficult to do. Very few people have done it in a marathon run. We've just seen Toro collect a soul, which we haven't gotten to up until this point. So the blue flames that you sometimes see in these levels are extra collectibles called souls. If you collect enough of them in a world, it will unlock an extra bonus level, which will be a race against time. You will not have unlimited time to run through them. Especially as you get into later worlds, they can become very challenging. There is a category called 126 souls. There are also 21 soul categories for each individual world. It introduces another brand new challenge to the run that's just been absolutely wonderful to watch a very small number of people crack through. That, I think, might be the next breakthrough category if people decide to start moving through it. We've now come to our second mechanic, which is wind. Wind is very, very physics-based and very inertia-based. There are ways you can plow through certain fields of wind, trying to figure out, again, exactly how long to stay in those, when to leave in order to get just the right height to get to your optimal route can be incredibly challenging. Can feel very rewarding when it happens. You can see Toro kind of going back and forth, making little minute adjustments just to make sure, just barely landing on that platform in the end, not staying in the air for a second longer than they have to. One of my favorite things, and you've seen this already once, but you'll see it again, is the way that this wind mechanic can be used to imitate anti-gravity. Just a really creative, there it is right there, just a really creative use of this. Just very basic mechanic and using it in creative ways to really reinvent the game. Toro with the absolute focus here. That right there can be very scary, trying to rate that platform up.
Yeah, I said World 2 starts to get a little bit more difficult. World 3 is when the difficulty ramps up dramatically, and even more so when we get to World 4. This is kind of, I always like to say, World 3 is like the first actual gut check of the entire run, where like you now have to go through so many different obstacles all at once, and you kind of... If people, seasoned veterans might have noticed there were a couple of moments where like I kind of had to make a small micro adjustment in a couple of levels, and but thankfully no deaths so far. That is incredibly rare in a not incredibly rare, but it is not easy to go through the first 3 worlds up to this final boss of World 3 without taking a single death once.
And it is even more difficult to get through this third boss without a death. Some of the best runners in the game are flummoxed by this. Boss 3 is universally regarded as, maybe not universally, but near universally as the hardest boss in the game, not the 6th and final boss. You'll notice 3 different things happening all at once through each of these phases. A medium laser getting smaller and smaller until a pink ball is shot out, and of course, if it is pink, it will kill you. Of course, with all of the wind here, it is very physics-based. It can feel very, very random and hard to predict. We have our big lasers that come out, and we have our dogs that will chase whatever path you've taken. Toro has just gotten through World 3 deathless. Absolutely fabulous, fabulous job, and that keeps this run alive. As anybody who's played this game knows, deaths will be your biggest time loss. Every single death means the restart of a level, and with levels ranging from 6 to 20 seconds, that can be a huge loss in a game that's only 30 minutes to begin with. We have entered World 4, which gives us 2 more new mechanics, which we have already seen both of. These green walls here are sticky. You may have seen Toro slide down a handful of walls for split seconds before jumping off of them. You do not slide on these sticky walls. That can put you into some positions that are a little bit tricky, because if you land on a wall in a bad place where, oh, if I jump, I'm going to land in this spike, there is no way to slide down, and that's it. And so you really have to know what you're looking at in many cases with these levels. Trying to make sure, okay, I'm not going to put myself in a position. That right there, that wall that Toro just encountered, is a big sticking point for a lot of newer runners, in a manner of speaking, of course. So that is mechanic number 1, is those sticky walls. The other new mechanic here is slingshots. So we see these blue orbs usually spinning around a chain of some sort. Essentially, if you jump out of them, they will launch you at huge speed into whichever direction you are then facing. You can see just a little bit of a guide there, but getting the timing on those is extremely difficult. In some places, with some tricks, near frame perfect. The needles that you have to thread, especially towards the end of World 4, are devious. Right? They can be really, really challenging. And only in some instances do you have quote-unquote safe routes that will take you longer. Like, oh, I'll throw myself into this wall and then get away from it after that. Right? Some levels, it really is just a matter of you have to get real good at your timing. That's one of those narrow needles to thread right there, where the safe route goes straight up, and the difficult route takes a bit of a corner jump here. Toro can die a few times and still save something here. There it is. And so we've skipped that top section of the level. And we've used the slingshot and use the slingshots to plow through that last bit of wind to get to the exit tunnel. Very excellent job. Level 12 can also flummox a lot of people. I got stuck on this one for a very
That was a gold
time.
split, by the way.
Beautiful.
Wow.
We love to see new barriers broken here on Marathon. Oh my goodness.
Can we get some claps in the chat? Like, this is phenomenal to watch. 2 amazing platforming games back to back. I'm totally blown away right now.
Yeah, this very end of this level can also be a little bit tricky. There are some very, very fast ways to do it. Let's see what Toro does here. Okay, so threading the needle between these spouting bullets, you can do it. It is incredibly difficult, and Toro still managed to get through that fairly quickly. That was a very quick run. Well done. Of course, this level here, just jumping straight up to get into it, we're seeing how we're fighting wind in order to make this happen. Okay, chat, watch this one very closely, the needles that get threaded. Just the very, very tight back and forth jumping through that narrow hallway there in between those spikes sliding, spinning around. It's just absolutely, it's just so fun to see. I don't know, I get giddy every time.
No, this game is incredibly, not only is it incredibly fun, it's incredibly fun to learn, like, the harder strats once you get some more experience. And that's the really great thing about this game. We call this, like, a love letter to speedrunning, not just from the fact that we're playing on the quote-unquote speedrun mode, but in addition to that, there is a, by the way, another needle being threaded in a second. There we go. The one thing that I absolutely love is the fact that, like, there are so many ways to approach a lot of different levels, and the fact that there's a lot of tools, speedrunner-friendly tools, to kind of help improve the game. We'll get into that in a little bit, or rather, I should say specifically, like, you know, there's like, you can see what your friends did in terms of certain levels. You can race against their ghost data. There's like in-game leaderboards, not just in SRC, that are just incredibly fun to just go through and just see, like, what your friends, what the top runners do. And that's really been a big reason why I've been able to improve in this game. Just seeing all my friends grind this game and do a lot of great stuff and a lot of improvements. As Tara said, the game has really evolved tremendously in terms of its 80% progression, going from like a 26, 27 to now world record being, I think it's a 20 right now.
Yeah, which is just absolutely incredible to see. Once again, boss 4, a little bit of an auto scroller. We think of this as the drink break or the dance break or anything like that. But we've seen these yellow levers. This boss is not smart enough to use the slingshots like we have. And so when we use it to expertly run around a level, it's fine. When this boss tries to get into a slingshot, it throws itself in the wrong direction and hurts itself. Oh, here we go. Very, very, yep. And we've just skipped 3/4 of the level. Welcome to World 5.
By the way, that boss 4 was actually another gold split for me.
That is, I did notice a lot of the time this boss was positioned right next to those slingshots very, very early on. Getting a perfect boss where it throws itself into the slingshot the first time is something that takes a little bit of practice. What takes a lot of practice is getting the boss to sit in places that are exactly where the slingshot is going to be and minimizing the time between bosses on the wall, bosses in the slingshot. So well done to Toro getting a gold split there. That is one of those micro optimizations that have really defined the leaderboards, especially for boss 4 and bosses generally. World 5, probably my favorite world. This one introduces only one new mechanic, but it is a doozy. You may have noticed Toro collecting yellow orbs. Those are multi-jump orbs. Every single one that is collected allows you to jump in the air one time. And so what these have been used for, again, Toro is skipping about half the level, not going around an extra loop that's in the bottom, because of the unexpected ways these orbs can be used in conjunction with some really, really optimized wall jumping. That's been really incredible. Just to see the creative uses for these multi-jumps, it's probably one of the most fun mechanics in the game, in my opinion. And of course, combined with the very different vibes of this world. This is the chillest world since World 1. World 1 is a little bit ominous for sure, but this feels like something that has been built. It's kind of creating something, right? That I don't quite how would I'm so curious to know if Toro or our host have feels about the vibe of World 5 here.
I personally love the vibes of this. I've said it time and time again. This is my favorite world in the entire game. I love the vibes, the music, also the use of colors with like the pink going with like this more softer blue. It just meshes so well. It's an absolute feast for my eyes.
It gives me like I get vibes from Donkey Kong Country 1, the underwater levels in the first Donkey Kong Country game. That's kind of what I get from it, and those are so good. So I'm really digging this level.
The comparison to the music too, underwater ambience, I want to say. I
Yes,
can't remember the name of the
DKC
title,
1.
but
Yep.
yeah, no, the I would say that they're different enough in the way that they're composed. This still has an undercurrent of speed to it, but that comparison, I think the folks at Obelisk would be quite pleased. But yeah, no, just again, that undercurrent of speed and the way that you can make that urgency happen in a very subtle, understated way. I don't know, there's just something about it. And of course, World 5 boss will be a great demonstration of a similar vibe. It's a little less chill, but it's also a very, very fast boss. It does introduce a new mechanic. Rather than green levers, we have green microchips. Why the microchips murder boss 5? We're not entirely sure, but you know what? It's green, it kills pink. That's how that works. We've been over this.
Also, you want to talk about?
Yeah, go ahead.
You want to talk about threading the needle? Just look at some of the needles I have to thread in this fight.
Yes, this is interesting because every time you land on a platform, you get 5 fresh multi-jumps, and that does make this a really, really fascinating challenge of how far can you go, how risky are you willing to be in order to optimize your time here. We're going for that, and like that, boss 5 is done. That is, again, another level that is hyper-optimized, and the drum beats at the very beginning of World 6 really bring out this air of, yes, this is it. This is a final confrontation. We have gone from underwater to outer space. I will say, chat, if you see... I know we here at Steel City Speedsters, apparently we love women and we love puppies. There is a puppy to be found. Keep your eyes out for Comrade Dog, who is going to appear in the chat. But if you see Comrade Dog, if you see Comrade Dog in the game, can we please get a hi, Comrade Dog? We love Laika here around these parts. Laika is lovely. Laika is fun. Laika is a source of joy in what is otherwise a very, very... There she is. Hi, Comrade Dog.
Hi, Comrade Dog.
In what is otherwise a very, very stressful World 6, truly a gauntlet of every mechanic that we've encountered thus far, plus 2 more. One are these trigger walls. If you hit a blue orb, it will make blue walls appear or disappear through the level. If you hit an orange orb, it will make orange walls appear or disappear throughout the level. You'll see those appearing and disappearing walls appear one more time in one new format over the course of this world. Excellent dod there by Toro, not having to go over. We got a hi, Comrade Dog. Yes. So, continuing here, seeing the way that these slingshots are, again, going through very, very, very narrow threads, need to be threaded. Very, very narrow paths Toro has to find their way through. My goodness gracious. Sticky walls, once again. You would think, oh, I just go through and I hit the ceiling and I come back down, but no, now you're stuck on the ceiling, and if you don't pull yourself off quickly enough, you could get hit by one of those spinning roses on chains. Hi, Comrade Dog. Bye, Comrade Dog.
Bye, Comrade Dog.
This is our big final new mechanic. It is appearing and disappearing walls. And this is how we introduce not just cycles, but cycles almost to the point of making this into a pseudo rhythm game, trying to figure out exactly how to thread the needle through some of these worlds, how to stay above or below. The next level, 614, is a prime example of that. The intended path, of course, is to snake back and forth as the platforms appear and disappear, but Toro's not going to bother with that. We're just going to skip the entire first 2 floors and jump to the third, dancing across the last platforms and bullets as they appear and disappear. There is an absolutely comical skip for World 615. If you have the game, or if you're able to see world record on YouTube, I would highly encourage you take a look at the skip that is done in 615. You can attempt it 3 times and fail and still be faster than the intended path. This is where the wind and the bullets together start to create challenges. There were maybe 1 or 2 levels in World 3 that combined wind and bullets the way that World 6 does. This can very much flummox many of our runners. So we're coming up towards the end of our run here. 619 is a great time to kind of reflect. I don't know if our host has anything to say at this point. I think we've seen some more come in here.
I do. I have a $10 donation from Bonsai Joe that says, "This Ghostland Yard run is so good. You are killing it, Toro. Let's go." Next $10 is to see my boy the Prince during Kelowna, just because I'm obsessed with Katamari. Let's roll up to be a single star in the sky. And just as a reminder, everyone, please get your donations into SteelCitySpeedsters.com. There's not a lot of time between the end of this run and the start of the next, and if you want to see that costume change, you have to get your donations in now.
Yes, there really isn't a whole lot of time. We have about a minute and change before the end of this run. Welcome to our final boss. I've mentioned that World 6 is a gauntlet, but this truly is. This boss is long enough and difficult enough that the developers in default settings allow for checkpoints between the 3 phases of Boss 6. And what a beautiful gift, because it gives us the opportunity to give things another try. Once again, if it is green, it will kill pink. What a helpful boss to give us these green doorways to encourage us to chase these microchips. This makes a little more sense. These microchips would mess up this boss. There are some absolutely devastating challenges in this one. We are racing against time in this pink slime. This is something you'll see in those bonus levels that we talked about earlier and nowhere else in the any percent run. And of course, Toro just continuing to weave his way through these mazes, doing an absolutely fantastic job. Of course, one more maze. This includes, I think, maybe the hardest jump in the game around the right-hand side towards the bottom corner. Let's see if they can do it. Well done. Had to include a wall slide there. We talked about wall slides at the very beginning. Toro continued jumping while sliding up a wall, and that's the only way that was possible. We are at our phase 3. Again, these pink balls bouncing around, the big lasers firing, the dogs chasing. There are a lot of echoes of Boss 3 here, as if Boss 3 were a more primal version of this final boss. But man, oh man, have we introduced 1.5 million challenges in the meantime. What a great demonstration of everything we've learned through the run. Just a few more moments here. Comrade Dog standing beside us along the way. We enter. And time will be when Poe exits this boss. In 3,
Oh my
2,
goodness.
1, time.
Unbelievable.
Well
That's a PB.
done.
That is a PB also. That is a near 10-second PB. Oh my goodness.
8 deaths, 1 reset. Yeah, that's amazing. That is a 9-second PB for you, Toro.
That is unbelievable. I apologize for not talking tremendously because I really wanted to make sure, like, executionally, I wanted this to be the absolute best run in a marathon I've ever done, and this blew it by a country mile. I mean, it's unreal. I alluded to this earlier, but I ran this game last year for Steel City Speedsters at the Pittsburgh Gaming Expo as a bonus run. I finished that run RTA with a 30 minutes on the dot. And I wanted, and I promised myself, if I was going to come back to SCS with this game, I'm going to do so much better on that one. I'm gonna make a dramatic improvement. What an improvement right there. Yeah, no, thank you, Tara, for carrying the conversation in this one. This was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, absolutely fabulous job. This was really, really cool to see. I was like, hang on, I haven't seen that many deaths. Are we going somewhere with this? I wish I could have seen the splits as we were going along, but maybe that was for the best to not be focusing on that. Because I mean, you've had a heck of a week too, to see you go through as much as you've been, to not have as much time, and to pull this out. Really, really proving their worth as one of the best in the game, honestly. What a joy it's been to watch you progress through this, chat. You've seen some really, really fabulous gameplay. I've seen people say, oh, this doesn't look that hard when people get deaths in marathons playing this game. I would challenge you to try it, and have some fun with it, because wow. Absolutely fabulous job. You really did make it look easy. That was amazing.
You could tell there was just some really intense focus happening there, because as soon as the run was over, I could hear that deep breath come out and be like, oh, finally, here we are.
It really does, because here's the thing, like, at the maze, in any of these final boss moments, if you die, you don't restart the entire fight, but you restart the phase, and depending on when in the phase is, that we're talking like 20, 25, 30 seconds of time loss. Continuing my streak of 4 marathon runs where I have not died at the final boss even once. That is absolutely stunning. Thank you, everybody, so much. Not gonna shout myself too hard here, because I will be back as your finale on Sunday with Pokemon Omega Ruby. Please, I encourage you to check out that run, and check out all the other runs that we have coming up this weekend. It's going to be an absolute fantastic time. So be on the lookout for that finale, because I have a lot of really fun stuff planned for that one with Pokemon Omega Ruby.
Right, and Tara, do you have any shout outs you want to give before we wrap up here?
Shout outs to Obelisk Studio, to the Ghostland Yard speedrunning community. Thank you so much for your patience with me as I help with guiding y'all a bit through a lot of what's been going on. Big shout outs to Toro and your persistence in doing this, and to see this happen in support of such a great cause. Shout out to Trans Youth in Pittsburgh. Shout out to the Hugh Lane Foundation. And to the Seal City Speedsters for putting this event on. This has been absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much for having us. It's been an absolute pleasure and a joy.
Thank you both so much for being here with us. Thank you for that